Hello you guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. I'm so happy to have you. So today we're going to be talking about all things intuitive eating and how to truly become back in tune with your body. Kind of think of it as like what you would do when you were a child. You know, when you were a child, you just ate when you were hungry, stopped when you were full. There was no diet culture. That is until like our parents intervened and other people did. But we are born with the intuitive instincts to know when we're hungry, know when we're not. So this is going to be a 5-part series where I jump in and talk about each week 2 different principles of intuitive eating. First and foremost, you must reject the diet mentality. And diet culture is kind of one of those things, like once you see it, you can't unsee it. It is literally everywhere with marketing, social media, just, it is crazy how you don't even realize that it's diet culture until you learn about it and actually start recognizing it, and then you're just like, oh my god, I cannot escape this. So not only am I talking about like the trendy things like keto or low fat or high protein or just whatever, or all of those other ones out there like Weight Watchers and things like that. I'm talking about like nutrition labels, just crazy marketing that you'll see out there. And dieting is actually a trigger for overeating. So the whole cycle is restrict, overeat, feel guilty, restart. So it's just this whole thing. And I'm sure if you've ever been on a diet in one way or another to try to lose weight or tighten up or whatever the case, you've been here. It's one of those things where when you're on a diet, you start to crave foods that you didn't even know that you liked, and then all of a sudden you're obsessing over them. Think of it as like what happens when you were growing up, or even now when somebody tells you not to do something. What do you want to do? You want to do it. So it's the same type of thing. If you're like, oh, I could go keto easily because I don't even like carbs that much, like I like fat way more. Great, but as soon as you're high fat and you go out to eat and they bring bread to the table, you're probably gonna want that bread. That's just human nature. That's just how we function. It's how we work. Here's the thing. Food is food. There's no need to feel guilty for eating a cookie, for feeling guilty for literally eating anything your heart desires. There is no need for the guilt. You should feel guilty if you murdered someone, if you robbed a bank, yeah, probably feel guilty for that. But this is food. Your body knows exactly what it wants, when it wants it. And if you know that you can eat whatever food you want because you're no longer dieting, guess what? Your body's gonna start to crave the healthy foods. And then all of a sudden you can start to eat just one cookie instead of the whole box of cookies. Like, I really hope that one day we can live in a world where we're not punishing ourselves. Like, oh my god, I need to go to the gym and burn off that donut I just ate. Like, it doesn't really work like that, and it's a lot more than like calories in versus calories out. That honestly, like, just throw out your scale. What does that number mean to you? Do you think you're gonna be more important in society? Do you think people won't talk about you? I would honestly just challenge yourself and ask yourself why. What is the point of the diet? To be smaller? And then ask yourself why. Why do you want to be smaller? Is it because it's actually going to make you happy? Or is it because you feel like you need that for society? Because society tells you must be smaller. Society tells you that that's what's attractive. And I just want to like challenge you to actually think about what's attractive to you. What do you want in your life? If you can think about it this way, every diet is like a hula hoop. The first one you got on there, you're good to go. Then they start throwing more and more on there, and eventually you just can't even move. Like, not only can you not hula hoop, there's no moving. The hula hoops aren't going anywhere and you're just stuck. And that's exactly what chronic dieting does for you. You're stuck. You feel like this diet will be it. No, this one is what's gonna make me lose weight. I swear after this one I'll stop dieting. And what do people do before they go on a diet? They go out the night before and they binge on all of their favorite foods, right? They're out there drinking a ton of wine and this big old burger and a ton of cookies, which guess what? All of that is fine to eat. Nothing is off limits. Like, just go out and eat it. And when you start to actually jump into it and you see that like the world is still spinning after you ate a cookie or two, wow, it's like this whole other world opens up. Just 4 little pointers to go back and recap what we just talked about. Number 1, recognize and acknowledge the damage that dieting does to you, your body, your mind, all of that. Number 2, be aware of dieting and its traits and just all of diet culture. Number 3, get rid of your dieter's tools like eating low calorie foods and low fat foods and just all of that. Just get rid of it, throw it out. And number 4, and I would say the most important one, is to just be compassionate with yourself. Just be your own hero and be your own voice of reason and just kind of challenge yourself, but also be so compassionate with yourself and forgiving and just love yourself in the end. So principle number 2 is to honor your hunger. There are so many times where you hear people who are like, oh my God, I'm starving, but it's not my time to eat yet. Or quite honestly, the opposite. If it is their time to eat and they're not hungry, they're still gonna eat just because the clock tells them to. Like, we don't get to decide when our bodies need energy and when they don't. Like, our body is pretty smart and it's gonna tell us like, hi, I'm hungry. You're gonna hear your stomach growling, or you're gonna get a headache, you're gonna get moody, you're irritable, and all of these little things, and your body's just like, hi, please feed me. Like, then you can go in your brain and think, what am I in the mood for? Is it a quesadilla? Is it pasta? Is it cereal? Do I just want a donut, a cookie? Whatever it is, you are allowed to eat that. You have permission and unconditional permission to eat whenever you want. If that's, you wake up at 2 a.m. and you're starving, go eat. If you are starving at 6 p.m. even though you're gonna go to dinner at 6:30, you can eat something. When you're dieting, you're so much more likely to isolate yourself from society. I mean, think about it. When when there are all these events and you know that they're gonna have like all of these fun and amazing foods and drinks, what do? You don't go. And I just want you to think about like, how many things have you said no to because you were on a diet? I know I've been there. Like, there have been so many times where I would not want to eat at a certain restaurant, or if I did go eat at a restaurant, guess what I was getting? Chicken, dry, with no oil, nothing, and broccoli, and maybe rice sometimes if my fitness pal told me I could have rice because I had carbs left. And it's just, you feel trapped, and then you feel even more trapped because you still might not even be seeing the results that you want to see. So it's just, I get it. I've been there. I've literally done every diet under the sun. I've done keto. I've tried intermittent fasting. I've done carb cycling. I've counted my macros. I've bulked. I've cut. I've literally done it all. And I'm still fed up. Like, it's still something that like I know I'm not going to do long term, so what's the point in doing it now? So I can have the body that people tell me is good, or so I can feel like I fit in better with society. Like, you were not made to be like everybody else. You're made to stand out, and you're made to be you. And I can promise you that your looks are probably the least interesting thing about you. I promise you that there is so much more to you than the way that you look. Like, social media tries to tell you otherwise because you think that the number of likes you get on a photo is based on what you look like in your photo, and it's just so absurd. Think of starving yourself as taking the wood from the structure of your house to put in your fireplace. Just think about it. It doesn't make sense, does it? You're taking what is meant to hold up your house to go put something in your house. Your house won't even be there because you're taking it from the structure. Your body deserves food, regardless of the time, regardless of what society tells you, that your body will adapt if you just only eat on these times. And I'm here to tell you, no. Like, it just doesn't. I remember like when I was intermittent fasting and my period was from like 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Guess what? Didn't matter how long I did it, I still woke up starving. 5 a.m. starving. Would I eat? No. So here I am starving from 5 a.m. until noon when it was my time to eat. And guess what you do at noon? You just want to eat everything because you're so far past that point of hunger that you don't even care. One thing that has seriously helped me so much to remember during my intuitive eating journey is my body gets to play catch up on its own terms, not on mine. I don't get to decide like, I shouldn't be that hungry today. That's weird. I just ate. Why am I still hungry? Like, that's not a decision for me to make. My body is telling me, you are hungry, please feed me. And it really doesn't need to be more difficult than that. Like, if you want food, please eat it. Like, you have permission to eat even when you're not hungry. Even if it's just like what we call taste hunger. And lastly, our bodies are so smart. Like, we do not need to micromanage them. I know it's hard and we think we need to, and trust me, I am not perfect at this. Like, I wish I was, but our bodies don't need to be micromanaged. Like, they're pretty well on their own, and if something's really wrong, we'll be able to know. But when it comes down to intuitive eating, it's just as simple as just eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're full, and moving on. Yes, there are principles to it, but it doesn't need to be overcomplicated. And just understanding that taste comes before everything. If you're not enjoying a meal, you're allowed to stop eating that meal. If you're enjoying it a ton, you're allowed to get up and get seconds, regardless of what anyone else thinks. So I hope that this video was informative, and I hope that it will help you on your intuitive eating journey. I know when I started, I wish that there was something out there like this for me to just learn about it a little bit. And I hope that you will subscribe down below, because next week we will be jumping into principles 3 and 4. So you will not want to miss those, because those are how to make peace with food and to also challenge the food police. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, bye guys.